Howdy, howdy, howdy. So today we're going to talk about the scenarios here, just to make sure you have access to this if you need it. Water is fresh water is going to be hypotonic, and hypotonic means that the water is more fresh. It's a higher percentage of water on the outside of the cell than it is inside the cell. And what's that going to do is that hypotonic, if you're in a hypotonic solution, that is going to do things like hydrate, right? It may even cause the cell to swell because hydration means that the water is going to travel through the cell membrane into the cell, and it may even cause the cell to swell up. And in most cases, that's okay as long as it doesn't swell up too much, right? If it's too fresh water, too much fresh water, you can cause it to pop even. So this movement of water into the cell is actually called osmosis. And so osmosis is the movement of water. It is not the movement of other things. It's diffusion of water. And this is also passive transport. This is high water, and it's going to travel across the concentration gradient to where there's a low concentration of water. There's more water on the outside, so it's going to go high to low, and this is a form of passive transport. Okay, so this one is example of osmosis in a hypotonic environment. On the next page, which I think we can get down to, let's see if we can go down on this to the next page. There we go. So on the next page, the egg is sitting in soda, right? And so since the egg is sitting in soda, this is going to be a hypertonic. And so a hyper means very. And so this has got very much stuff in it. A lot of sugar in this case. In some cases, it could be a lot of salt or minerals or whatever it is. So this is going to be hypertonic because it has a high concentration of stuff. If we're talking about osmosis, right? Osmosis in this case is going to cause it to we're going to shrivel because it's going to dehydrate. Um, Sugary drinks and sugary sodas and that kind of stuff can cause you to dehydrate. And so the water in this case is going to leave the cell instead of enter the cell. It's going to leave the cell. And this is going to cause the cell perhaps to shrivel when it dehydrates. I mean, you know what a raisin is, right? A raisin is a grape that has lost its water. It's been dehydrated, so it shrivels. And so this is also, it's osmosis, and osmosis is high to low for water, right? So osmosis is high to low for water, and it's also passive transport. So both of these are passive transport, and they're passive transport of water, and passive transport of water is osmosis. So those are the first two slides explaining those things. Um, Evidence, energy, concentration, gradient, and cellular structure. So this is going straight through the cell membrane. So osmosis is the diffusion of water from high concentration to low concentration using passive transport through a cell membrane. Okay, the next one. So the next one is not osmosis. The next one is going to be a situation where you're going from high to low again. So in this case, we're going from high to low. And since it's high to low, it is still passive transport. And so every time it's high to low, it equals passive transport. This one, though, is not going through the membrane. This one is an ion traveling through a membrane protein. And so this is called a channel protein. And a channel protein is simply this open door, and the open door allows things to go in and out more rapidly than they would do if they were to go directly through the cell membrane. So a channel protein is going to do what's called facilitated diffusion. And it's a facilitated diffusion because it's going through the channel protein. If it was just going through the cell membrane itself without using the protein, it would be called simple diffusion. So this one is called facilitated diffusion because they are going through a membrane protein called the channel protein. This one happens to actually be a specific type of channel protein called an ion channel because these are ions. And so this is still passive transport. This is passive transport. We know it is because you can see there's a high concentration inside, there's a low concentration outside, and we're almost done. Okay, the last one, if you look at this picture here and we compare it to the picture, this is high to low. If you look at this one, this last one, it's actually going from low to high. And I hope that you can see that just by the picture itself. The picture is showing, outside and it's moving in to where it's highly concentrated. So this is low to high, and that is not your normal state, right? If you go low to high, that's called active transport. And that is going to cause you to have to use energy to do that. And so that is active transport. And active transport means that you have to use ATP to do so. So active uses two things. It uses what are called pumps, and we can call them protein pumps because the membrane proteins are these little things here. It uses protein pumps to go, oh, that's the wrong letter, protein pumps to go the opposite direction. And it also uses ATP. And ATP is that energy molecule that we need to use to go the wrong way. And so it uses ATP for energy. And what else do we need to know about this? It's called a protein pump. It's low to high. Hopefully you can tell by looking. It's low concentration outside, high concentration inside, and that's pretty much the wrong way. So it uses protein pumps and it uses ATP, and that's called active transport. So hopefully that answers the questions for this. That is the bulk of the exam. So hopefully you know what you're doing on those. Just to review one more time, this one is the only one that's active transport, uses protein pumps to go from low concentration to high, and it needs energy to go the wrong way. This one is a type of diffusion. It's passive transport because it's going from high to low. It's going through a channel protein and not just through the membrane protein, sorry, the membrane. And so we call it facilitated or helped diffusion. And these two, this one in particular is hypertonic because it is very sugary, and that causes osmosis to have the water leave the cell, dehydrate and shrivel. And once again, this is passive transport. And the last one is also passive transport. Hypotonic is causing hydration, swelling, and osmosis, once again, is going high to low. So passive transport, passive transport, passive transport. This one's not osmosis.